charming. Pep Boys does everything for less.
Julie needs an alignment. Can you get me up in the alignment rack, you think?
Oh yeah, we can work you in.
Starting to feather edge of those tires a little bit. They're way too expensive, you know?
We'll take a look.
Hey, Kurt.
How's it going, Chris?
I'm gonna need a new fuel pump from the dealer on that Focus in Bay 8.
We have those in stock. That's a fairly common pump assembly.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go dealer just in case.
Hey, hold on a second. You know, I was using a lot of dealer pumps up till about a year ago. When I started checking on aftermarket supplies, I gotta tell you, your Carter pumps are awfully good.
Chris, this is Sam Emelo. Sam's a master technician with years of experience.
Yeah, I know you. Wow, what a surprise. I loved your TV show, Shade Tree Mechanic and Two Guys Garage.
Like I said, I was ordering many dealer pumps because I thought the aftermarket parts weren't as good. Turns out I was spending a lot of money unnecessarily on original equipment parts at the dealership parts counter. The reason was I just wasn't digging deep enough into the diagnosis to determine what was causing repeat failures. It ended up being my problem, not the supplier.
We sell a lot of Carter pumps, as you know, don't have many warranty issues.
You know, Chris, since I got serious about complete diagnosis, I haven't had any comebacks.
Our guys are not too excited about installing aftermarket fuel pumps. I guess they just don't trust them. They'd rather install a dealer part than one we've got in stock right here. You know, Sam, maybe you can talk to Chris about that
Sure,
issue.
I'd be glad to. Chris, first thing we need to realize is the job is ultimately costing the customer a lot more when you use an original equipment or OE pump that it might actually be inferior. While the customer may not complain to your face about the price, you may never get another chance to service their car because they felt gouged on the fuel pump replacement.
So if I use Carter pumps on everything, I'm not gonna have compacts?
What I'm saying is you're going to have comebacks with any supplier, including the dealer part, unless you're following a consistent diagnostic process for every vehicle. There are too many contributing factors to a fuel delivery issue to simply assume it's the fuel pump. In fact, I bet 99 cases out of 100, the replacement pump isn't the real problem that causes a comeback.
So you're using Carter?
Yep, anytime Pep Boys has a Carter pump for the job, I've used them, and I've had no problems at all since I put together a formal process for diagnosing fuel delivery issues. You know, it's hard to admit that we're wrong, but I found myself blaming aftermarket parts for problems that my incomplete diagnosis caused. Then the Carter product people at Federal Mogul, they helped me uncover the real problem, my own internal processes.
You told me about doing a tour of a supplier plant last year. Was that Carter?
It was. I visited their fuel system facility in Logansport, Indiana. I was traveling there on business. Before I knew it, I had a standing invitation to speak with their engineers and see for myself what goes into an aftermarket pump. It was pretty impressive.
So it's natural to think that OE parts are better though, right?
Yes and no. I think it depends on the product category. In the case of fuel pumps, we all know there are a lot of fuel delivery issues associated with OE or original design pumps. The Carter engineers showed me dozens of examples of how they significantly improve on the OE technology to correct known reliability problems. Hey Kurt, you got a fuel pump handy?
Yeah, got one right here.
Oh great, this is a perfect example. Now, you know, there's a common problem with OE harness connectors. The connectors begin to melt or show signs of overheating, which causes intermittent power circuit connections. Carter includes a replacement harness in every one of these kits to help the technician solve the problem the first time. Now, the reason the harness is included is the design has been improved. The connector is now oval. This is the connector here. It's got larger, thicker blades. The design is robust. It's more resistant to vibration and arcing. You know, what my techs like best is that Carter ships everything you need in the box. You know, you get the strainer, you get the harness and the connectors, you get the tank seal, everything you need. And a lot of other guys, including the OEs, definitely don't do that.
Yeah, we usually have to buy all that stuff separate.
Now, I heard something about their strainer, too, right?
Yeah, and it's right here. This one's got one. It's called Clean Screen, and it's always this bright green color. You know, strainer clogging becomes more and more common as the vehicle ages and the tank gets filled with contaminants. Conventional strainers can easily get clogged by this stuff, which reduces pressure and flow, and it makes you think the pump is going bad. This strainer is unique. It has a non-woven 3-layer design. Carter's Clean Screen strainer can hold 40% more of these contaminants without clogging, so it's an extra margin of safety when there are questions about tank contamination.
So what do we do if we get a bad fuel tank and shows signs of really bad contamination?
If the fuel tank is in bad shape, then we would install a new tank to prevent future failures and to make the job a better value for the customer.
Well, my crew and I didn't do a complete diagnosis either, but since we changed our procedures, we've eliminated repeat problems. You got to remember that some of this grit and other stuff is almost invisible, but it will end up in the strainer. You also don't know whether the vehicle is operated in dirty, dusty environments, and you don't know how clean the tanks are at their local fuel station.
So Carter's a good supplier then?
Carter is a well-known brand, been around a long time, and they've got very good technology. If you know anything about Federal Mogul, you know they're a global OE or original equipment manufacturer. They're well known for having exceptionally high quality standards. Remember, this is the same company that manufactures Felpro products. They take quality very seriously. Every fuel assembly is 100% tested before it goes into the box. And they use this visual imaging equipment to identify any assembly issues that they might not see, may not be obvious to the naked eye.
But everybody says that they test their parts.
Yeah, I doubt they test them to Federal Mogul standards. If I remember correctly, they're testing brush-type pumps for a minimum of 1,500 hours, and they have their brushless pumps, they have to pass a 10,000-hour benchmark test. And in this same pump life testing building, well, they're using real gasoline in the pumps, and they're studying how their products perform in contaminated tanks as well as in clean tanks. I tell you, these guys leave nothing to chance.
Is there a number my guys can call if we're having trouble?
Oh yeah, they've got a technical hotline. It's fully staffed with ASE certified technicians, and they can answer almost any question about their fuel pumps and any specific application related problems. And I think the number's right on the box, and that way you can call them, ask them anything you need. Oh, and the thing that really had the biggest impact on me was their warranty testing area. This is where they test pumps that have come back as defective from shops and distributors. Time after time, they hooked up the so-called defective part, and it would work just fine. What's that tell you? It meant the shop had missed the actual cause of the fuel delivery problem.
So you said you guys changed your diagnostic process? What do you do now that you didn't do before?
You know, I love to learn, and we all can learn every day. Most importantly, I had to get my guys first to understand that the worst thing you can do is automatically assume the fuel pump's at fault. There are too many other things that can cause fuel delivery complaints. The most common being an electrical problem or a clogged strainer.
Yeah, electrical problems can be a nightmare. It can take hours to find out what the problem is.
Yeah, that doesn't always have to be the case. In some cases, you might be ordering a new pump, hooking everything back up, and then discovering the pump's not the problem. That's why our first step after dropping the tank is to test the pump's electrical circuit.
So you use a voltmeter?
Yep, my team checks every circuit for voltage drops on both the power feed side and the ground leg of the circuit. Now, even if the circuit passes the test, we look closely at the harness connector. You probably know that some GM harnesses are prone to shorts and overheating. When you look at that connector, if there are any signs of heat damage, we know there could be an electrical connectivity problem. So if the harness and circuit seem okay, then we remove the pump for a close visual inspection. The most important area is the strainer. If there are any signs of contamination in the strainer material, then we start thinking about potential clogging issues. And 100% of the time, that means being sure the tank is clean. Only after all these steps do we blame the fuel pump and order a replacement from Carter. And we know that we'll be getting a new wiring harness and that we'll be installing the pump with a strainer that has more capacity in a clean tank. So the chances of a comeback are minimal.
So be honest, Chris. How do our diagnostic steps compare with Sam's?
We could probably tighten it up in a few spots.
How about you go back and you double check everything, including the electrical circuit and the strainer before I order that dealer pump? Better yet, before I look the Carter pump up for that car?
Sounds good. Hey, Sam, it was nice meeting you, man. Thanks for the help.
Nice meeting you, Chris. I'm glad to do it. Glad to pass on and share anything I've learned to guys like you that work hard and take pride in what you're doing. Now stop making more money by avoiding the high cost of those dealer pumps. Start using these Carter pumps.
Thanks, Sam. That was great.
I'm glad to do it, man.
All right, what are we going to do on your truck?
Before we do the alignment,
That boys does everything for less. When the light comes on, just come in.